Hey guys, welcome back. Yasin here. Let's look at some ETFs as far as the market indexes. But I don't like to really, and I don't like predicting anything because anything can happen. I just like to react on what's happening. My previous videos, I said that if you really, if and I always say, I'll try to say this on every single video. Like if you really don't know nothing about market analysis or anything like that, I mean, just watch your moving averages, like watch the 50 and watch your 21, and that will give you a really good heads up. Like I'll give you an example. Like if you really don't know what was happening back, if you said everything was fine back in before we got hit back in February, beginning of February. If you were just watching the moving averages, and you saw this, and then you were like, okay, something's happening here, and then the market come back and you will say, okay, nothing, that was just like a quick flush correction, and then all of a sudden again you saw that, and we closed I think on Friday, right? Yeah, it was Tuesday. Not Friday, it was like Tuesday. So we closed way below that on a huge volume. You'll be like, okay, I have to get out and I have to do something. Like if you're holding stocks or holding ETF, whatever. I'm not talking about investment. I'm just talking about like if you're just swing trading or position trading. This will give you a heads up, and then you will stay probably in cash, or like it will. You don't have to deal with all this correction, like over 35% or over 30% correction. So if you just watch your moving averages, you'll be good. So, and that's what I do. Like, I watch the price action and I see what could come out of it. But sometimes, like you will expect that the market, for example, here that the market will continue dive, but actually it reverse. So really, you're not gonna know exactly what's gonna happen. It's all about educated guess and it's all about reaction. So if the market dropped below here, that was going to be a different reaction, but the market reversed and kept going from here, so that's a different reaction. It's all it's all up to you. What are you going to do? And it's about your reaction. And here again, it shows that you have to be flexible. So if you, let's say for example here, you were short right here, and then all of a sudden the market reversed back at you, and then you had no pivot point or you had no stop loss, or somehow you'd be like, okay, if it comes back against here, if it closes above the high of this candle here or the high of that candle, I have to get out. So if you're not flexible, if you don't have any plans, man, you're gonna be crushed. So you have to be flexible regardless of what. Even if you're good at market price action analysis, you still have to be flexible because anything can happen. You can have a flag on a stock that's setting up to go up higher, and then stock is building energy right in here just to break out. That's the same effect that market can really build energy here, even though it's a bullish flag, and it can crap down, and you'll be looking at it like, no, it has to go up. No, it doesn't have to go up. So I learned that the hard way. So the SPY, the SMH here, it looks like it's in no man's land. Right here we broke, and I always say this, like especially for me when I'm swinging position trading. If I see the stock had a good run and and it respected the 21, and it kind of closed below it twice, that gives me heads up that hey, the stock it's worn out and it wants to correct a little bit. Here I think here we are in no man's land, even though the SPY actually QQQ, I think it's acting the same. See here, I draw a resistance line. See the market kind of, when it came down, it hits that area like a couple times. See here, once and then twice, and then came back to the same area and hits it, and we had a reaction from it. So we went there and then we came down. So I'm watching that area for growth stocks. So once we start closing below that, first of all, we're going to have to close above the moving averages, and then that pivot point will act as a key for the growth stock to tell me like, hey, some growth stock's going to be in play. So yeah, you may want to be watching those lines. SPY and the Dow Jones, SPY looks like it's still fine. You may want to notice that up front that I draw here, market respected a couple times. So we might be like doing something all different right now because we're going sideways. Dow Jones here, I saw this last week. I think I never mentioned it. We had market was Dow Jones index was respecting that trend up here, and then you can see here we got out of it, and then we put a reversal candle, and then we closed right below it. So I think we're a little bit extended here. Every time I watch this all the time, every time, let's say the stock, every time the stock is going like a 45-degree angle, so I'm drawing this because the 90, let's say this is a 90-degree angle, but this is like, let's say 45. Every time the stock is trending up higher like that, it should be healthy. But as far as once the stock start going up like that, and it will start getting away from especially from the 21. That gives me a heads up that the stock can flash back and correct quickly. So you can notice here what the Dow Jones actually did. It didn't go really straight up, but look how far it was from the 21. So, and it got out of that. It kind of broke that range here of that uptrend. So all right. Again, let's go back and look at some ETFs. I mean, if you can go look at, I'm not going to go through all this. If you look at some ETFs, IWO for growth stocks, and IWM, and some, yeah, if you could look for them, I mean, you'll know where the money is going. You know, you don't have to. You just need moving average, and then they will tell you everything. Let's see, some good actually. Some good ETFs are like setting up. Technology, cybersecurity, they're not doing really so good. YOLO, cannabis are doing okay, but they look like most of them, except the SPY, they look like they are in no man's land. What I mean by that is, like, once the stocks start breaking out, and you make some good money and stocks still going up. Like I said, I always watch the 2021. Once it start closing 2 days, 3 days below it, that's a warning from me. Like, hey, stock wants to correct. It doesn't mean it's gonna fall down, but it wants to correct and it's gonna make a new base. How long, nobody knows. So I call that here no man's land. Once we start correcting, no man's land. So you really have no. I personally have no edge when market, because it chop you up. It's a lot of volatility. So I just let it set, and then watch it and watch for new breakout, and then I go from there. So I got a bunch of ETF. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them, but I just want to give you guys what I look personally and what I see. Some stocks here that I watch, but I'm gonna go through some really good list. This one, it's setting up, it looks good. And one thing, like right now, there's like the QQQ and SMH, they are in no man's land. So you want to watch stocks that actually going sideways or testing all-time high. Those are going to be the new leaders. Okay, we're gonna discuss some of them. SBNA, as you may know, like a lot of bank stocks and energy stocks have been doing really good. It doesn't mean there's no money. So there's no growth stock, there's no money. I'm going to show you some of the stocks that I'm holding. Like, they're not really growth stocks. Some of them are, but you can still make money as long as you get a good entry point and you respect your stop loss. Logi, MSFT, yeah, everything is almost like a digesting right now. Base over base right here. Microsoft, Nike. I thought Nike was going to do good, but it kind of really reversed real bad on a good volume. Rode, this is one of the stocks that from IBD that they said, so when I go to IBD here, I watch stocks that our funds are buying. So I go right in here and I hit that button, and it gives me a bunch of the stocks that, like down here, all that list. So I kind of watch it. I put in my list and I watch it. CSTM, I just watched them. UIS, this one I thought it was going to do good, but kind of reversed. So for me personally, this would have been a really good entry, but from here, when the stock does that like that, I have to get out or get a lot of my positions out. It's been really a good uptrend. TME, good breakout. I was watching it. For me, here would have been a good entry point right in here, right in this day. Even though right now, I mean, it's still a good entry point, but you have earnings coming out. Baba, Facebook looks really good. in here. You look at it on the weekly. I like to look at stocks on the end of the week. I like to look at them and see what they're doing. Good base in here, breakout, consolidation a little bit here, breakout, and then moving sideways and breaking out that wedge on a good decent volume. Apple not doing so good. Visa got hammered. I was surprised. MasterCard, Square is one of the leading ones, but it's just going sideways. You know, it's following the market a little bit, but it doesn't want to really. I didn't even notice like much of a sell-off comparing to other stocks. Tesla, I'm noticing here stock having some resistance right on this area, right on the moving averages right now. So I'm gonna watch that stock once it start breaking up here. You want to watch, actually, what do you really want to watch? You want to watch that level. So, and you will see that the stock having a resistance right at the moving averages. It's trying to break out here. So you may want to watch once the stock starts to close above the 65. I have the 65. You can do the 50 and the 21, and then you will see the moving average is going to flip to the other side. Now you have the 65 here above the 21, and you will see the 21 above it. So, and then it will act as a support. So what I want is a stock to break out, and I want this area to act as a support. So that's, for me, that's an indication that the stock wants to move even higher. Right now it's still holding this area. I just don't want to see it get rejected from this level and starting going lower. Nvidia, it's still like setting up. Like I said, I was in the stock like way back here in this area. I got out of it as soon as I started violating these moving averages. Google still going sideways. Netflix going sideways. That's it. Here's one of the watch lists. I have a bunch of watch lists, to be honest with you. This is a good one that I always keep an eye on. Let's see. Come on. Right here. So AMA AT. Again, what did I say? I said once the stock starting to close 2 days below 21 moving average, that's a warning. That's stock is sending me a signal that, hey, it wants to relax a little bit, and it did actually move a little bit up higher, and right now we're just setting up for another move. ETH, actually I put an entry point right on this day, and then stock just jumped on me. I never got in, but it's good. It's good. It can reverse back, but it's still holding. It looks like it wants to fill the gap. But I'm gonna watch this yellow line, because when I go to the monthly, you will see the stock has a previous resistance right up here. So you may want to keep that in mind. ATKR is one of the stocks that actually, when the market was correcting, it was going sideways. So just keep in mind. AVNW, another one that didn't really correct. And one thing I want to mention is watch the stock that didn't actually violate the 21. This is a key strength for a bunch of the stocks. This one actually, you will watch that, or you will see if you go through some good stocks that some of them, like ATKR for example, see, it didn't even violate the 21. That's true. That tells you strength. AVNW, it kind of violates it, but quickly came right back up. So if you go through some growth stocks, watch those ones that didn't actually violate the 21 and close below the 21. Those could be the leaders on the next run. EV up W, so I will probably move this one up here. So far so good. Still, it did violate the 21 one day, but it's still going up sideways. So here would have been a good entry point here, but stock decided to go sideways more. AXTY, I'm watching this. I don't like actually the way it looks, even though it has resistance here and it broke out on a monthly, which is good, but I don't like what's doing in here. It's just no man's land. I'm watching this one. It kind of broke this resistance up here on a decent volume, and it retraced right back, and it closed below the 21, especially right after it broke out. It shouldn't do that, like for optimal breakout. I mean, he just broke out on a huge volume. You don't want to actually starting to close below the 21. So he wants to build a base, but you can watch that close above that that trend. BC looks good, starting to close here again. Once the stock started to close, let's say you bought it right in here on the 8, right on the breakout, I'm sorry, breakout here, and then for me personally, once it start to close below, especially 2 days, once it start closing 2 days below the 8 moving average, exponential moving average, that's a warning for me. It doesn't mean the stock's gonna collapse, but it's a warning for me that we might come back all the way to here. So if you have a couple of percentage winning here, let's say you have 5, 6, 7%, I would personally again, I would start taking some off the table. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's me again. I mean, I don't know what, but for me, stock shouldn't do that. Like if you have a good stock that's gonna run, it might close one day, but I have to retrace and come back above it, close above that 8 moving average. But when you're starting to close below it and you just broke out, that's kind of some flags for me. That's warning flags. BCII, BRP. I have a position right in here when it broke out. It's still acting good, even though it closed below the 8. But I'm watching the 21. Some of the stocks I watch the 21, some of them I will watch the 8. So here we closed below the 21 almost 2 days, but we came right back up. So yeah, it's all how you look at your stocks. K, I'm watching it too. It looks good. Didn't even close below the 21. So you see that's exactly what I said before. CSS, another one. CDW, I like this one. We have let's look at the monthly. Monthly looks decent, looks really good. We have a breakout on the monthly. Looking at it in the weekly, good breakout and moving sideways. So it kind of closed below again 21 one day and reversed right back up. You may want to watch this pivot for the breakout. CLH, this one got hammered I think on the earnings, but it's going sideways. One thing I will add here, I notice, is if the stock was probably going to be any good, I mean, we're building energy to the downside, so we went this way, and then we're making almost like a bull flag, but it's on the other side. You see what I'm doing here? So usually it will result like that, but like I said, it could build energy and then reverse right back up. So you have to be flexible. Here, what I noticed, I want to add to this is, like, look at the price action. The stock wants to go up higher. Next day, it almost eliminated that green candle, and then where the price action was on the day after that, it was in the lower half of this red candle. That's a negative for me. If the stock would have been any good, it would have to starting to trade go up this way, not this way. So you have a box, and it wants to go, usually, so on the back of our mind, I'm thinking, okay, we gap down a huge volume, it has to continue lower, and I have moving averages that's starting to flip, so those moving averages will act as a resistance. And then here we have a good day that we want to go up and fill up this gap. Next day it eliminates that, almost, it didn't close below that, so you can eliminate it technically, but the next day, the action of that day, it was then on a lower half. So the price action, it's leaning toward negative side more than the upside. So that's what I wanted to add. But hey, stay flexible. Watch those moving averages. Let's say watch if the stock is gonna if the moving averages, especially the 21 and the 50 or 65, will act as a resistance. An example like that, it was DXCM. I think I mentioned this way before. The stock got hammered a couple times here. Every time when the stock got hammered right in here, right on this day, that 65 and the 21 act as a resistance. Every time it breaks it, it got hammered. Every time it goes up, it got hammered. And last time it just got hammered. And after that, stock starting going lower. And here, I noticed something, that the stock having some behavior change. So it went up, and then it almost that stock price action had that at 65 and a 21 as a support. Here it was not really so clear too much, but here once we starting close, especially that day, I noticed like, okay, stock wants to do something different. We came all the way back up. We retested this previous resistance up here, but this is, I believe, this is where the market starting correct. 3-1, 3-2, 3-4 March actually, and that I said, okay, this candle is really a big deal. First, I don't want to see. You notice that the moving average is flipped on the bullish side, but I was telling myself like, hey, you really. I had no position at the time, but I was just I was just watching the behavior, and then the stock starting to close below the 21. Every time a stock closes below the 21, it depends on what market condition, and then especially in a bull market, you don't want the stock to do that. It's active weakness. So if it wants to go up, it will never even. I mean, it will eventually, but it will keep going. It will keep going up and starting closing above it. It might penetrate it during the day, but at the end of the day, it has to close above it. And then once I start watching this and saw the stock starting closing below it, for here would have been okay, but still not okay. Here, bulls want to defend it. Here, starting to close below it here, especially that day here. That's like here. This is like active weakness, like almost like confirmation for me. And then boom, right after that, we kind of close below the low of that candle, and the stock just firmed that we're not going up anymore. This is the last hope. Like here, for me, here would be like stock even starting to close below 2 days below the 8s. That's the first flag. That ain't closing here, and then first and second day again, third day basically, because this is the first, and then this should be a warning, and once you start closing below the low of that candle, that's it. Especially here, we did it in a huge volume, and then stocks just move sideways, and then boom boom, just going. So this is what an example for which one? CALH. So that's my point. Deva, I never saw nobody actually was talking about this stock. We're starting to close. You see how we dip below the 21, we always close above it. That's what you want to watch. We dip below it, and then we close right above it. That's strength. Here we dip below it, quickly came right back up. So here it looks like the stock is stalling right in here. It's not moving. Expectation is like we're moving sideways, or we might correct. So here we're starting to close a little bit below it. So 86.41, 86.53. Not really that bad of a signal, but it's still holding. It's holding a lot better than many stocks. DBX, I mentioned this like really previously. I think even when it was up here, they had really good earnings, but stock still got hammered. I think right in here, somewhere right in here. And I never had any position, but I had other positions. So you want to watch this. It's a little bit extended from the 21. I think it looks good on the weekly. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, look at that. So now in the downtrend, we broke that downtrend, and we used it as a support for weeks, and then we broke out. Okay, so DDS looks decent. I was watching it right when it broke out. And that didn't break out, but it's like it's a pullback when it's starting moving sideways up here, and then going up. It looks wrong. It looks good. DT, another stock in no man's land. It wants to correct, so I'm just watching it. FSKR, I mentioned this stock was red when it was right up here, right in here. It looks good. Financial stock. Oh, sorry. And what else? GFL going sideways. Here's another one of the good stocks that you want to watch, and never close below the 21. That's a good one to watch. Google, another good one to watch. GRBK. We have a downtrend here, and then we broke out right in here on a decent volume, and then we're going sideways. Another one. This really a good one that I want you to guys really watch. Even though we closed below the 21, but it really had a really great run. We went from $4 all the way to 17. This can happen again. I'm not saying it will happen, but it might happen. I'm watching it almost every day and see what is it gonna do. Once you start breaking out, I mean, you really want to watch this, especially it's in the semiconductor sector. So might go sideways up. That's ideally what I wanted to do, but stock will do whatever it wants to do. I want it to go sideways, going up here a little bit, and then consolidate tightly here and then break out. HZO, I was watching it really way up here. I never had any position. I was watching it acting good so far. Another retail store that is still doing good. So even though like the growth stocks are they're not out there, but there's some good stocks out there that they're really moving up. ICHR, I don't like that what stock's been doing here. That chop here, I don't like it. I had a position when I got out with I think a small win or small loss. I don't really remember. INMD, one that I really want to stress on. Like this really a good stock, especially when I did some homework on it. When stock had a really when the market was really taking a hit right in these days. I don't remember exactly what day, especially I think here and here and here. But the stock actually didn't correct that much. It did correct on the market, was the whole correcting, but if you notice the price action was like it stayed like vertical. I mean, especially horizontal. We just went sideways here, even though we went down a little bit here, but we never violated and kept going down. The stock was actually going sideways. I had a small position right in here, and then I got out quickly, but I noticed that the stock, it's actually still going sideways. I like this one. So HIMX and INMD, I really encourage you guys to keep an eye on it. These two could be really a leader. I have a position right on this one. IRBT, nothing. I'm not really. This is nothing special in here. Just moving sideways. JCOM. I was gonna play this, but I noticed that the stock was actually. I like to get them when they break out. Like for example that day, but here could be just a pullback to the 8. Here a pullback is not, even though it looks like consolidation here, but it's not really a good base. So if you would got it here probably, or here, or even here, that would have been good. 5% away from the entry point, that would have been good. But other than that, I don't like to chase them. KE, I think I do have a position right on this one. Is when it did break out right in here. LAD, I have a position when it broke out. I was watching it all the way when it was here, so I'm still having position. I'm watching it. It's starting to break below the 8, but it's a big stock, so I don't like to. So they're kind of different. Like especially when you have a stock that it's $20 compared to this one's $400. So I like to give him some room. MBIN, bank stocks acting good. What else? MBU. I was gonna get into this one right in here, but I think I got something else instead. It did for one day close below the 21, and now again it closed below. Closed below the 8. So so personally, I would have watched it or take some profit when it's starting to close below the 8 for 2 days, especially when you have a small tiny base. I mean, not tiny, but decent base, and you break out. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing the stock. I don't like seeing the stock closing below the 8. I mean, you just broke out. Come on, you have to stay above it. You stay below it, certain moving averages, especially the 8. I mean, especially the 21. That gives you, for me, that's a warning. So you want to be careful. MC, it kind of like shy breakout right in here, but it didn't really clear with any good decent volume here. You want to see a breakout, like a really good breakout and good volume. The yellow line always a previous resistance right in here, so I like to draw those to keep an eye, so I can see ahead what's coming. So or probably sometimes take a profit in that before that area, before that stock hits that area. MTZ, NGMS, that brought my attention when I saw it. Actually, it was on the second day here. Good volume. You want to keep an eye on it. OMCL, I liked it when it actually. I tweeted about it. Yeah, when it was right in here. Good stock. BUBM. What else? SMPL. It's coming retest. It closed below this day. 32. Yes, it did. It closed below the 8. So here would have been like, you may want to watch out. Second day. Now it closed again. Below the 8. So what I would do personally, like take some off. some off. Personally, that's me again. We have a yellow line, that's a previous resistance. That resistance could be a support, and stock could go up. So I would watch to see if the stock still wants to stay below the 8. If it wants to stay below the 8 for another day or 2 or 3, that's a warning, you know. And like especially when he got in here right in this area, you don't want the stock to stay below the 8. You want it to go up, you know, and stay up above the 8. That's me again personally. SSP, SSTK. I had a position right in here, and then it got out with that flashing sign right here. I think when it's starting to roll right above that 8 on a decent volume, I got flushed back in. But it did held it's 8 here, didn't, but here did. So I would watch that area from now on. This is a previous resistance. SSTK. I got in because I saw a huge volume coming in right in here, and I said, okay, we kind of came back and bounced right over the 21, and I had a position right in here. Small loss right in here. I think 1 or 2, I think 1% loss or something like that. USX, previous resistance. I just don't like. Here would have been a good entry point, especially when we had this shelf right in here. Yeah, right in here, and it's starting to break out. So the yellow line again, it's previous resistance. Yeah, not really, but we had a test right in here and then right in here. So that's why I put that line in there. Now the stock is kind of struggling, but never closed below the 8, which is again shows you strength. Valley, I'm watching this stock right in here. It wanted to break out, and then it had a reaction, not a bad reaction, but that right down that downtrend, it's respecting it. So you may want to watch that area right there. So it's starting to close below, I mean above here. That shows me it's going to show me some good. I'll be optimistic about the stock. Stock is still going sideways, especially after this move here. So it just looks like it's just digesting the move. Again, we broke out. There's almost like a cup and a handle here. We respected the 8. If the stock is strong, it will respect the 8. Here it's starting to close below it. You may take some profits. And then here, confirmation that, hey, it wants to correct. And we're starting to close below the 21 here and here and here. So we stayed like almost 3 days below the 8. So that tells me there's a correction ahead. That correction could be long, again, it could be short. I've seen some stocks, they just stay like 2 weeks and then they resume their uptrend. Some of them, they just go in sideways. So overall, Valley looks good, but I'm watching that area right in here. It looks like a downtrend just like it did before right in here. So keep that in mind. VICR, a base we broke out here, and then it's making a base. So you want to keep that in watch list. WGO. I don't want to stay here too long. WSM. One of the stocks that I want to watch. I want to actually ZDA. This is a good. Had a good sales and APS. This could be another leader. Another one, man, I just forgot it. I forgot which one. W. I have a position right in here. I tweeted about this when the stock was getting hammered, when the whole market was getting hammered, especially the QQQ and SMH. This one actually, it didn't even close below the 21. And I said this before. I tweeted about it. I said watch a stock that did not close below the 21. That gives you a heads up, and it show you relative strength on some of the stock that could be next leaders. So the stock had here again. Here is one of the examples. That's why I always say, if you don't know much about the stock analysis and market analysis, not market analysis, like price action analysis, watch that 21. If you get into a stock and it's still respecting the 21, it's good. Once it's starting to close below the 21 here, one day here, second day here, that tells you, that gives you a heads up that the stock wants to correct. How long? Nobody knows. It could be months, it could be weeks, it could correct and go down. Anyway, Wayfair corrected and for a long time. It had that support, that wedge, and we had a downtrend. Here, we broke out right in here with decent volume. We used that downtrend as a support, and we're gonna get hit here. Right here, I said the stock is over. It looks like it's over, but it proved me wrong, and then it came right back up. Huge volume right in here. A lot of price action. Came back, digested this move from here, 257 all the way to 340. I'm just giving an estimate, and then the market was taking a hit on these days. March 3, March 4, March 2nd. This one didn't close below the 21. So I was watching, I'm like, okay, this one has some strength to it. And then it just moved sideways, and I did tweet about it when I said, stock is going sideways, watch out for this one. And actually, and I started the position right at this level, 335, something like that. And it so far so good. So I'm watching the weekly. You want to watch the weekly here. So if I take this off, you see the stock corrected since when? Since September the 4th. We moved all the way. We broke out that downtrend, and we moved again sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 weeks now. Notice the price action. Not going. It's not. We're not playing on a half. The price action is not on the lower half of this green candle, so it's on the upper half. So here with digestion, we can go all the way down, but we shouldn't be closing below the breakout candle. We shouldn't be doing that. And then you see the price action going to the upper half of this candle, which is a good sign, which makes me still optimistic and bullish about it. And then from there, I can see the stock still running a good amount, and it has earnings on the 5th. All right. I hope you guys got some benefit from this video. I'm always addressing, and I created this channel just to talk to myself back in time, because I had nobody to teach me and show me what was happening. I hope I'm putting some light on the way I look at the stocks, and I do really hope these videos are helpful. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye bye.